So I'm Lisa Robinson. I'm a senior research scientist at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. So I've been involved in the Society for Benefit Cost Analysis since its inception. I was past president and on the board, and I've also been on the editorial board of the Journal of Benefit Cost Analysis for many years. I've written many articles for you and also edited or organized several issues. This issue is going to be about methods and case studies for doing benefit cost analysis in low and middle income countries. It's based on a Gates Foundation project that actually got started because of an article in the Journal of Benefit Cost Analysis. Back in 2011, Jim Hammond and I wrote an article for the Journal of Benefit Cost Analysis on extrapolating estimates of the value of mortality risk reductions from high-income countries to low-income countries. We are trying to address this problem that there's very little research that's been conducted in low-income countries. So analysts usually rely on work that's been done in high-income countries. This leads to an incredible amount of uncertainty in the estimates. As a result of that article, I was contacted by Dean Jamieson, who is a leading researcher in global health. He and I ended up putting together a group of leading researchers to start talking about how to do a better job of developing these estimates. Ultimately, that turned into a project that was funded by the Gates Foundation, the goal of which is to develop guidance for conducting benefit cost analysis, addressing the valuation of small changes in mortality risk, but also addressing many other issues. One big issue that we face is that people are tremendously confused about this concept. When we say the value of statistical life or the value per statistical life, people think that we're talking about the value that I place on your life or that the government places on your life, and they get up in arms because it just seems kind of silly. But that's not actually what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is to estimate your willingness to pay for a very small change in your mortality risk that might result from some sort of policy. Think about it. You do things that indicate these values pretty much every day. For example, you might decide to buy a car that has better airbags, spending more money in order to get more protection. What we're doing for the Journal of Benefit Cost Analysis is a series of articles that include methods papers and case studies. The methods papers were developed to provide the foundation for the recommendations that will be included in the ultimate guidance. The case studies were developed to illustrate the application of those methods to particular policies. Of course, because the impetus for the project was this concern about the value of mortality risk reductions, there is a paper on that, but we also have some great papers on valuing changes in time use, on different concepts of discounting, in other words, of addressing impacts that occur over time within a number of different frameworks, some of which may be unfamiliar to the journal's audience. We also have a terrific paper on valuing financial risk protection associated with health insurance, which is obviously an important topic but has not been addressed that rigorously in benefit cost analysis. The case studies are diverse. They look at air pollution risks, at nutrition, tuberculosis control, a number of different issues, and basically think about the extent to which the methods that we're recommending are feasible and can be implemented in these particular contexts. One terrific thing about this issue is that the Gates Foundation has agreed to fund open access for all of the articles. So all of the articles will be freely available online, which means that they'll be accessible to a number of people who wouldn't be able to read them otherwise. It's been really terrific working with the Cambridge folks on this issue. It's required a number of addressing a number of tricky issues in order to get everything open access and also to coordinate a very large number of papers, and we are really pleased with the results. You know, it's interesting because one thing, I'm someone who've worked in government, I've worked in consulting and then in academia. One thing that was striking when I entered academia was that there are a gazillion journals. You really wonder how all those journals get read and how everybody comes up with the time to do a good job on contributions. But the Journal of Benefit Cost Analysis really fills a special niche. Those of us who do benefit cost analysis have not had a place to publish, and that has some really adverse effects on public policy decisions. The reason we do benefit cost analysis is because we want to encourage rational decision making. We want to bring to bear facts and evidence about what different policy impacts would be. And the fact that we can't easily publish elsewhere means that people don't have access to our work, we don't get the advantages of peer review, and our work is just not disseminated as widely as it might be otherwise. So I was really excited when the MacArthur Foundation, when the MacArthur Foundation originally decided to fund the journal, because I think despite the fact there's a gazillion journals out there, it gives us a unique opportunity to not only publish and encourage research, but also to influence public policy. Obviously, the Journal Benefit Cost Analysis is a very large audience in the developed world, given that there are a lot of people at both research institutions and in government agencies and international agencies who are interested in these sorts of analyses. The problem is that people who live in lower income countries often don't have access to journals. People who are not at academic institutions or living and working in lower income countries where they don't have as much journal access may not be able to read these articles without the open access. So we are hoping that what will happen is people who are living in the developing world will be able to read and use the results of this project in addition to the people who are working in the developed world. One thing that I forgot to mention about this issue is that one of the reasons why we're publishing in JBCA, other than its wide audience and its appropriateness for the project, is that we've had, I think, 100, 200 people provide comments or be engaged in this project in some way. Most of them are members of the Society for Benefit Cost Analysis, so we are very pleased to be publishing in the Society's journal. The current project is not quite over. After the issue is published, we'll continue taking comment on the articles. We hope that they will get a lot of attention. We'll then be drafting a guidance document that will be published online for public comment, then finalized and available for free to anybody who's interested. It's geared towards a relatively non-technical audience, so somebody who's interested in doing economic evaluation can pick it up and understand the basics of how to do these sorts of studies. We are hoping that the next phases of the project will include doing more case studies to illustrate the application of these methods in different countries and to different policies, that it will include more primary research on the values that are held by people who live in low and middle income countries for mortality risk reductions and other outcomes. We also are hoping to develop a repository of completed analyses, which hopefully the Journal of Benefit Cost Analysis will contribute to, that's easily accessible by people around the world. I'm hoping that this will turn into a very large network of people who are doing benefit cost analysis around the world, which in turn I think will be very good for the journal because it will be generating more articles and getting more people involved in this sort of work. At the March 2019 Society for Benefit Cost Analysis meeting, we'll be presenting a lot of these case studies. Dean Jamieson, who's been a leader of this project, will be giving one of the plenary addresses, and we're also sponsoring the reception. And we are hoping that both the plenary and the reception will be open to people in the international community who might not be able to come to the main conference, but at least can join us then and celebrate the completion of the special issue.